What's going on YouTube? It's your boy ATM back again with another video. And in today's video, I wanted to kind of bring to you guys why I believe toxic masculinity has never really been a thing. And it's been more of like a psyop or a government institutionalized terminology that was meant to suppress men of their true nature. In defending and protecting protecting their loved ones and the people around them. All right. So to give my theory on this is that toxic masculinity has been used widely to suppress men, like I was saying, of their nature, but also in this kind of step process. So if we take toxic masculinity and we say that the small group of men, serial killers, rapists, criminals, pedophiles, are all bad, which we understand, right? But if we take those subgroups, small portion of men, statistically speaking, and we lump them and say that all men are like this, then we can push laws, legislation, and get a large demographic of men and women to agree with this terminology that sums all of those up and puts it on the large majority of men who are not like that and don't really have those feelings towards people. Then we can start to slowly get the process to break, the people down, right? To break the men down in totality. So we do that through media, social media, through the women, through children, through schooling, and through advertisement. We mess with their food, all the things to make men have more estrogen in their bodies than they're naturally designed to have, to make men weaker, more submissive, and be able to do the bidding that I want. So I'm going to use myself as an example to say that I'm the elite groups, and here's how the process would go. So I want the large majority of American men to submit to my ruling of tyranny over the next 150, 200 years. I know that I'm not going to see the process unfold. Maybe I will, maybe I won't, depending on how life works out. So if I wanted to do that, here's the step process I would do. I would use the terminology, push it through all the media platforms, whether it's kids, adults, doesn't matter. I'm going to put more estrogen within the food. I'm going to mess with the water, with the crops, anything I can to get the large majority of the men to be more feminine. The more feminine I can get the large mass of men to, or be more docile and weak, the easier it is I can control them. And then over the next 150 years, I've broken this process and this plan down to get to the next 150 years beyond that, so where my family and my ruling is easy and I don't really have no one pushing back. Because if I have a large majority of men who don't want tyranny and don't want to be slaves and be ruled by a small group of elite class of people, once they figured out what I was doing or my people were doing, they would try to either find me or cause a revolution, which I wouldn't be able to stop, because there's a lot more of them than there are of me, even if I were to have militia and government agencies and all that different type of stuff. Because yes, even though I would have them and have the best weapons, there's still a large mass of men who have weapons, who have, grenades and guns and plans and all that different type of stuff, right? So doing it through that process, it's all about control. So toxic masculinity is a terminology that is being used to control the masses of men in order to get them to submit. Because if I can get them through their wives, their kids, their moms, their dads, the media, and so on and so forth, I can belittle them so much that they don't want to even try and fight back once it's time for me to really enact the plan of control and power, right? So if you are men out there and people are calling you toxic masculinity or you're toxic, embrace it. I don't shy away from that. I appreciate that. You can say that. You can call me whatever you like. I've been called a misogynist, I hate women, I'm toxic, whatever it may be, because I have different viewpoints than other people, and I have no problem with that. That is fine. You're entitled to your opinion. It doesn't affect me. I'm not really going to look at you too differently. It doesn't really matter. You're not thinking clearly enough, but that's fine, right? It's no big deal. We all can agree to disagree. I'm not someone that has to, cut you off in order to feel better about myself, right? But besides just the toxic masculinity part, within that, if men were truly not toxic masculinity or masculine, you in totality of society wouldn't have firefighters, police officers. You wouldn't have men who protect their family and friends around them. You wouldn't have communities of men who own guns and hunt and do all the more masculine things that men do, fish and all that, because what would be the need? True masculinity is what is being considered toxic, right? Being able to say what you believe, stand on your morals and values, even if people disagree with you. Being able to, as some women like to say, or people in general like to say, controlling, but not wanting your daughters and wives and sons to be out here wearing too revealing clothing or acting a fool and wanting everyone to be falling in line is, considered toxic or controlling, which they're lumping everything into each other. But in all reality, a lot of these things that we think about when it comes to toxic masculinity is just what men naturally do, and we're wanting men to get away from their nature because it's all about control at the end of the day. That's what it's about. It's about people above the people around you wanting to control you and the people around you. And we see that it's easier to control women than it is to control men. We see that it's easier to control them, right? We're seeing it's easier through, the debt, consumer debt, student tuition and student debt, if you to say student debt. So for men, it's more of a logical process of thinking about and pushing back on many different things that are being forced on us. But if you have a large majority of men who are now docile, they'll accept things even if it doesn't benefit them or their families. So I just wanted to come on here to kind of give a rundown for a lot of y'all that toxic masculinity is not a thing. It hasn't been a thing. It's just a terminology that is being used to push through the media to you men to make you believe that your natural state of being a man, protecting and providing and really sacrificing and pushing back on different ideologies that are being forced upon you and your people, that it's inherently wrong and that you're somehow super bad. So, but I'm not bad when I'm protecting you or the people around me from intruders. I'm not bad when police officers are protecting and providing for you. I'm not bad when firefighters come in to try to save you from a burning building. I'm not, toxic if I want to make sure that my kids have a great and safe schooling environment, and I want to make sure that, if it has to be police are there or I as a volunteer are there to protect children. So we pick and choose what we want. And when I say we, I'm meaning society. We are picking and choosing the things we want to say that are toxic versus the things that are not toxic. And the things that are not toxic, things or ideologies, whatever you want to call it, that are benefiting society. Even though in totality, toxic masculinity always benefits society because it's about sacrificing yourself for the greater good of people around you, even if you don't get to see the benefit of what has happened. It's the same thing with our soldiers in the army. You can say a lot of them are toxic. They're killing other people, right? They're pillaging other places, but they're doing it for your benefit so you can make TikTok videos and watch YouTube, or you can go on Instagram, or you can go get coffee, right? And you're not figuring out where your next meal's coming from, or your house is not getting bombed. And those, when you start to break it down, you see that this is all a psyop, that toxic masculinity, it really isn't a thing. And that my last message to the men out there is to strive forward. Keep being your toxic masculine self, and embrace it, because we're starting to see structure and order become more prevalent within the media. And structure and order is going to be kind of the next, I wouldn't say wave, but pendulum swinging back into side of just that, structure and order, right? We went so far into chaos over the past 50, 60, 70 years that we're starting to see the tide, we're starting to see the pendulum come back this way, right? Not everyone's going to want it, because obviously in chaos, people still benefit. Doesn't mean everyone's in chaos, but people still benefit from it. But I theorize you're going to start to see the pendulum swing back, and maybe within the next 20 to 70 years, we'll see what happens, right? So that's just my thoughts on it. I think it's time to embrace it and let people say what they want to say about you. Obviously, if they're not saying too wild stuff, but calling you toxic masculine doesn't really matter, because you're going to be the same people they look for if they're in times of need or in times of crisis. It's just the reality of it, right? So ATM fam, keep striving to be better. Embrace it and understand that. Do what's right. Do the best you can do. And, we stand against tyranny. We stand against behavior like rape, criminals, and pedophiles and all that different type of stuff. We don't stand for that. We stand against that as well. But embrace who you are. Embrace your masculinity and keep striving to be the best version of yourself. I will drop another video very soon. ATM fam, I'm signing out. Peace.